Hello everyone, my name is Nicole. I never imagined my own sister would do something so hurtful. Growing up, we were inseparable. She was my confidante, my partner in every adventure and secret we shared. We did everything together, and our bond was something I had always cherished. So when our parents went out of town for a few days, leaving just the two of us at home, I didn't think twice. It was supposed to be an easygoing, quiet weekend between us, a chance to relax and catch up. The weekend started just like any other. We spent the first day lounging around the house, flipping through channels, talking about life, and catching up on each other's plans. I noticed she was on her phone more than usual, but didn't pay much attention to it. After all, everyone has their busy moments, right? But as the hours went by, I couldn't shake a growing sense of unease. She was laughing at her screen, then quickly tucking her phone away whenever she noticed I was watching. Her energy felt different, guarded, like she was hiding something important. I tried to ignore it, convincing myself I was just being overly suspicious. Later that night, as I was winding down, I heard her voice from down the hall. She was on the phone, speaking in a low, hushed tone. Something in her voice caught my attention. This wasn't her usual laughter, or the casual chatter I was used to. It was softer, more personal, almost intimate. My stomach twisted, but I brushed the feeling aside, not wanting to jump to conclusions. Maybe it was just a private conversation with a close friend. Everyone deserves their privacy. The next morning, I found her in the kitchen, making breakfast with a smile that seemed almost too bright. I tried to push aside my doubts, yet her movements seemed rehearsed, like she was trying a bit too hard to appear at ease. Still, I told myself I was just overthinking things. Then her phone buzzed on the counter, catching my eye. Glancing over when she wasn't looking, I saw the name flashing on the screen and my heart plummeted. It was my partner's name, calling her repeatedly. In that moment, the pieces fell into place, and I could hardly believe what I was seeing. I froze, my heart racing as a whirlwind of thoughts collided in my mind. Was this just a coincidence? Were they planning a surprise for me? Surely I had to be wrong, right? But deep down, an unsettling instinct whispered that something more sinister was afoot. This wasn't innocent. I could feel the weight of betrayal in the pit of my stomach, and yet I wanted to scream, to confront her, to demand to know what the hell was going on. But instead I walked away, putting on a mask of ignorance, pretending I hadn't seen anything. Throughout the day, I watched her closely. Every interaction, every furtive glance at her phone chipped away at the fragile denial I clung to. My heart pounded in my chest, a relentless reminder of the truth I refused to acknowledge. Maybe I was being dramatic. Maybe this wasn't what it seemed. But as the hours slipped by, that small glimmer of hope faded into the shadows, leaving behind a gnawing dread. I knew I couldn't ignore it much longer. Something was about to come to light, and whatever it was, I wasn't ready for it. Then the truth hit me like a freight train, obliterating any remaining doubt. It was late, and I thought she was settled in for the night. I couldn't sleep. My mind was a chaotic storm fueled by the revelation of my partner's name lighting up her phone. Restlessness drove me down the hallway, each step echoing the turmoil in my heart. As I passed her room, I froze, my breath caught in my throat. I heard him, his voice, The door was slightly ajar, and I could hear everything. They were laughing, their words soft and intimate, weaving a fabric of closeness that cut through me like a knife. My own sister, with him. The truth crystallized in my mind. They weren't planning anything for me. This was betrayal, plain and simple. I stood there, numb and paralyzed, as the reality washed over me like a cold wave. This wasn't a fleeting moment. It was a betrayal that had been festering for a long time. As I listened, my heart sank deeper with each whispered exchange. He was supposed to be with me, to love me. And her, my sister, the one person I thought I could trust without question, had crossed an unbridgeable line. Every instinct screamed at me to burst in, to confront them, to unleash the torrent of pain that was tightening around my chest. But I remained frozen, paralyzed by the enormity of the betrayal unfolding before me. Eventually, their conversation wound down, and I heard her soft giggle, a sound that felt like a dagger. How could she be so calm, so unaffected by the chaos she was creating in my heart? The sister I had shared everything with now felt like a stranger, her laughter a haunting reminder of the bond that had been shattered. My mind raced, replaying the moments I had overlooked, the signs I had ignored. How long had this been happening behind my back? As I retreated to my room, I closed the door quietly, the weight of suffocation pressing down on me. I sat on the edge of my bed, grappling with a whirlwind of emotions, struggling to make sense of it all. How could the two people I trusted the most betray me in such a profound way? What had I done to deserve this? The urge to confront her burned within me, to demand answers, to force her to explain how she could be so callous. But deep down, I knew that no explanation could undo the damage that had already been done. The rest of the night spiraled into a blur of anguish and confusion. I couldn't sleep, my thoughts racing like shadows in the dark. I felt utterly lost, trapped in a nightmare from which I couldn't awaken. All I could do was replay that moment in my head, the sound of their voices echoing relentlessly. My sister, my partner, the weight of betrayal from both of them was suffocating, and I knew there was no going back from this. The truth settled like a stone in my chest, heavy and unyielding, and I felt the pressure build until I could no longer contain it. The next morning, the moment I saw her, the words spilled out like a dam bursting. "How long?" I asked, my voice trembling with barely contained rage and hurt. She turned to me, startled, but quickly masked her surprise, her eyes darting away. She knew exactly what I was talking about. For a moment, silence hung between us, thick with the weight of unspoken truths. In her eyes, I could see guilt, shame, and unexpectedly defiance. Her face tightened. "It's not what you think," she said flatly, but I wasn't going to let her off the hook that easily. "Not what I think?" I shot back, anger boiling over. "I heard you. I saw the messages. Don't insult me by pretending this isn't exactly what it looks like." My voice cracked at the end, the pain too raw to hide. She looked away, biting her lip, as if searching for words that could mend this rift. But there was nothing. No words could fix the betrayal I felt. I wanted her to admit it, to confess what she had done and the hurt she had caused me. "Why?" I asked, my voice softening, the anger giving way to a deeper hurt. "Why would you do this to me?" For a moment she remained silent, her eyes averted. Then she sighed, her shoulders slumping as if the weight of her actions had finally settled upon her. "I don't know," she whispered. just happened. Those words hit me like a slap in the face, so empty, so careless. Just happened, as if it were some accident, a mistake that could be brushed off. You don't know? I repeated, disbelief lacing my voice. You betrayed me, and you don't know why? I felt tears welling up, but I fought to keep them at bay. You were my sister, my blood. How could you do this to me? Her eyes flickered with something, regret maybe, but it didn't matter. The damage was done. She opened her mouth, likely to offer some feeble explanation, but I didn't want to hear it. No excuse, no apology could ever make this right. I didn't care how it started, whether it was a moment of weakness or something deeper. All that mattered was that she had made the choice to betray me. She had chosen him over our bond. As she took a step closer, maybe to comfort me, I instinctively stepped back, shaking my head. Don't, I said sharply. Don't try to make this okay. It's not okay. I could see the tears forming in her eyes now, but it was too late. I didn't care about her tears anymore. I never wanted to hurt you, she murmured, but her words felt hollow, like an afterthought. If she hadn't wanted to hurt me, she wouldn't have done it. That thought echoed relentlessly in my mind. She chose this, she chose him. I looked at her one last time, my heart breaking anew. You did hurt me, I whispered, my voice barely audible. And I don't think I can ever forgive you for it. After that confrontation, the silence between us was unbearable. She didn't reach out, and I couldn't bring myself to face her anymore. Everything felt shattered, and I was consumed by the ache in my chest. My mind spiraled in a constant loop, replaying every word, every betrayal, and I was left to wonder how we had come to this point. Days passed, and eventually our parents returned. They didn't notice the tension right away, but I knew it was only a matter of time before they sensed something was amiss. I couldn't pretend that everything was normal, not when my entire world had been flipped upside down. Every day felt heavier, a reminder of the trust that had been broken. I stayed in my room as much as possible, searching for clarity, but the more I thought about it, the more lost I felt. The sister I once confided in and the partner I had trusted were now entwined in a betrayal I couldn't comprehend. Each passing hour felt like a slow descent into an unending nightmare, and I didn't know how to wake up. But I wasn't ready to explain. How do you tell your family that the person you trusted the most had betrayed you in the worst possible way? How do you find the words without falling apart? My sister, on the other hand, moved through the house as if nothing had happened, as if she hadn't torn everything apart, as if she hadn't destroyed the bond we once shared. That hurt even more. Her ability to carry on like nothing had changed, like she hadn't shattered me into a million pieces. It was as if she was waiting for me to get over it, to forgive and forget. But I couldn't. I couldn't just erase what she had done. Every time I looked at her, I was reminded of the betrayal, the lies, the conscious choice she made to hurt me. My relationship with my partner was over. There was no coming back from this. I didn't even have the energy to confront him anymore. He wasn't worth it, not after what I had overheard, not after knowing that he had been complicit in this deception. In an unexpected twist, I felt a strange sense of relief in letting him go. Deep down, maybe I had sensed for a while that something was off, that our relationship wasn't as solid as I had wanted to believe. But I never anticipated it would end like this, wrapped in betrayal from both him and my sister. I grappled with figuring out what my next steps should be. Part of me longed to escape, to put as much distance as possible between myself and the remnants of this betrayal. But where would I go? This was my home, my family, even if it felt utterly foreign now. Running away wouldn't fix the damage. The pain would follow me wherever I went. In the end, I chose to stay, but I knew things would never be the same. I couldn't predict if I would ever truly forgive her. Maybe time would dull the pain, but maybe it wouldn't. For now, all I could do was try to move forward, to navigate the wreckage of what had once been my life. I didn't owe her my forgiveness, not yet, not until I was ready, if that day ever came. Trust, once broken, doesn't heal overnight. As for my sister, she would have to live with what she had done. Maybe one day she'd grasped the depth of her betrayal, or perhaps she'd continue to exist as if nothing had changed. But for me, everything had irrevocably shifted. I wasn't sure if I would ever be able to return to how things were before, to the bond we once shared. The fracture felt too deep, too wide to bridge, and I couldn't shake the feeling that our lives had been irreversibly altered. Each day ahead would be a struggle, but I had to face it alone, even in the shadows of the home I once thought I knew. Well, that was it from my side. Thanks for letting me share my story. I would love to hear your opinions about it.